We are on day four of our nervous system reboot event, and I'm going to lead a session of neurosomatic mindfulness this morning. And I am Dr. Fleet Mall, the founder of HeartMind, and very happy to be here with all of you this morning. So we'll go ahead and get started. And I would invite all of us to find a posture that for you feels relatively upright and uplifted, and at the same time relaxed and stable. And if for any reason of physical limitations you need to do this standing up or lying down or leaning against the back of a chair for support, please do what works for you. And if you are able to sit up on a cushion or a chair with a relatively uplifted upright posture, that can be helpful. So we'll go ahead and get started. I would invite you to close your eyes to begin with, if that's comfortable for you. If not, you could simply lower your gaze a bit to reduce the amount of visual input. Very commonly, we find our attention is sort of up here in the head area because we're very cognitively oriented with often busy minds, and we're very visually and auditorily oriented to the external world. So it can be helpful just to allow ourselves to kind of let our attention drop down into the body. So perhaps just kind of letting your attention and awareness drop down through the neck and shoulders, and upper back, upper chest, down through the torso and waist, and down through the hips and buttocks, upper legs, knees, lower legs, down to the ankles to our feet, and all the way to the soles of our feet. So just beginning to feel more sort of in the body and feeling connected to the earth below, even though we may be inside. Most of us are probably inside a home or building of some kind, but we are connected through the floor and the foundation of that building down to the earth. So feeling that connection to the earth below and the solidity of the earth supporting us, and really having a sense of taking our seat on the earth. And then with a relatively upright posture, also having that sense of connection to the sort of heaven principle or the cosmos, sense of space and the cosmos above. And with a nice naturally erect spine, which has a natural curvature to it, rather than hunching, having a slight concave quality to the lower back. Relaxed shoulders, head straight, extending the crown of the head up towards the ceiling a little bit, elongating the spine, but then really relaxing around that, just letting the arms hang loosely in the shoulder sockets, and then maybe lifting the hands up, just pivoting at the elbows and letting them land on the upper legs wherever they land. And so just a nice, erect, open posture. And with that, there's a sense of sort of connecting the energies of heaven and earth. By heaven, I mean the cosmos and space, and so connecting the energies of heaven and earth. In many of the Asian traditions and Taoism and Buddhism and Shinto and so forth, there's this idea that our role as two-legged creatures who are not looking at the ground all the time. We look forward. We're visionary beings, and that our one way to understand our role is bringing together the energies of heaven and earth as upright beings. So to begin with, I invite us to simply drop into being, to simply allow ourselves to be just as we are in this moment, which is easier said than done. We're so used to doing, right? I think, I don't know if you'll resonate with this, but I think we're always just a little bit ahead of ourselves, right? Anticipating the next thing we have to do. And so relaxing into being is sometimes easier said than done. So I invite us just to do our best to relax into just being right here, right now. Nothing to do, nowhere to go, nothing to achieve or accomplish or evaluate or compare. Not that, we have lives and we may have things we need to do later on, but if we, at least for a moment, if we could see if we can sort of let go into just being, just being. And a quality of allowing, just allowing this moment to be as it is, allowing ourselves to just be as we are, feeling whatever we're feeling physically, emotionally, allowing our minds to just be as they are in the moment. Maybe our mind feels sort of busy or anxious. Maybe it feels sort of spacious, relaxed, whatever it is, just allowing it to be there and just sort of being curious about our present physical state, emotional state, cognitive state, and just letting it be, just letting it be. Mm. Letting our breath simply find its own rhythm, just letting the air flow in and out just of its own accord. Just being, just being. And then within this quality of being, we will invite a very, very subtle kind of doing, a very subtle agenda. And that is to simply feel whatever we're feeling, physically, emotionally, cognitively, spiritually, to just allow ourselves to feel however we're feeling right now. Hmm. Hmm. And with this approach that I call neurosomatic mindfulness, there's a particular emphasis on feeling physical sensation, physical sensation. So I'll invite us to begin exploring this entire landscape of physical sensation that we call the body. Hmm. Body is just a word, actually a concept. There's really no such thing, but there is this moment to moment lived experience that the word body points to that's made up of the sensations we can feel inside and out from head to toe. And we know even from modern physics that we're basically a field of energy. And the way our brains have evolved, we perceive energy moving at these frequencies as solid, right? So we perceive ourselves as solid, organic, biological beings. And that's certainly true on one relative level, but we know on other levels that there's really just a flow of energy here. And we're in a larger landscape, the outer world, which is another field of energy. So in some ways, we are a field or matrix of energy situated in a larger matrix of energy. So we can just kind of relax into that and feel with an emphasis on feeling tactile, physical sensation, the actual physical sensations. And as we do so, we can invite attitudinal qualities of curiosity, openness, non-judgment, acceptance, self-acceptance, or just acceptance of whatever's going on moment to moment. Quality of just allowing, being with, just meeting the moment with curiosity, openness, acceptance, and non-judgment. Whatever arises, physically, emotionally, cognitively, is just sort of the mind state of, so, and that too. Hmm. How interesting. Hmm. So I invite us to focus a bit on the external landscape of tactile physical sensation to begin with. All the sensations we can notice and feel all across the surface of the skin from head to toe. Our human skin, covering the entire body, is one vast sensory organ. And sensations that we experience on the surface of the skin travel through a particular set of neural networks to the brain that are highly myelinated. Myelination is myelin is a coating on the nerves and dendrites and so forth that allows them to operate more efficiently, to communicate more efficiently with other neurons and so forth. So we're very sensitive to touch because those signals travel very quickly to the brain. And in a moment, we'll explore the internal landscape of sensate experience, tactile, physical sensation within the body. And those sensations travel to a different set of neural networks, which are less myelinated and thus less efficient. And so internal sensations tend to be subtler, but nonetheless experientiable. So to begin with, though, let's focus on the external landscape. And you may just be able to sort of tune into that globally and begin to feel enveloped in this field of tactile physical sensation on the surface of the skin. Or you may wish to begin with sensations that are more predominant, which could be sensations arising at the contact points between our body and the chair or the cushion, those pressure points. It could be sensations arising with the contact between our clothing and our skin, feeling the weight of our clothing, the texture of our clothing. It could be sensations we're experiencing on exposed skin surface areas like the face or the neck or wrists, hands, ankles, so forth. In relation to any movement of the air where we are or the air temperature where we are. Could be sensations of coolness or warmth. As well as the sensations arising on the surface of the skin at the nostrils and or parted lips as the air flows in and out of the body as we breathe. And I invite us to make a gentle effort to tune into the actual micro sensations that are making up our experience moment to moment. The actual sort of tingling, prickly sensations or pins and needles, sensations of aliveness or numbness or pressure or um, coolness, warmth, and so forth. But the actual little micro sensations, to make an effort to tune in at that level. Mm. And just continue exploring all across the surface of the skin from head to toe. What can I actually feel? And I invite us to challenge ourselves a little bit. Like, how much can I feel? And with what level of detail, precision, vividness, clarity? And again, cultivating a perhaps kind of a strong sense of curiosity, like really wanting to know myself and my own experience ever more deeply, ever more accurately, ever more precisely. We may notice that our brain will generally tend towards replacing the direct experience of sensation with the concept. So rather than experiencing the actual sensations, it'll be, oh, body or breath or my leg or my shoulder or even just sensation, which are all words and concepts. And the brain quite naturally does this because the brain has a big job, obviously. And the main job of the brain is to filter out the vast majority of the input we're receiving because our brain is getting trillions of inputs or quadrillions. I don't know what the number would really be. Um, and we don't experience most of it. Our brain has evolved to give us a very narrow bandwidth of the available experience across many dimensions of perception. And that narrow bandwidth is what we call consensual reality. And it's a very small percentage of the actual landscape of reality as it is, but it's what we need to function as human beings. And we know that other species experience different bandwidths of the light frequencies and sound. And so there are, even if we have a dog at home, our dogs hear sounds we can't hear. Different species see ranges of light that we don't see, right? So so that takes a lot of energy for the brain to do all that. And so it's always economizing its energy. And one of the ways that the brain economizes its energy is to replace direct experience with concept, right? Instead of really doing the work of feeling all the actual sensations, just, okay, there's my leg, or there's the body or the breath. Or when we're out walking outside and we see a tree, instead of really connecting with that living entity, the brain just replaces it with an archetypal image of tree, perhaps oak tree or evergreen or something. So that's just the way the brain works. And so we live with this kind of conceptual overlay, which kind of dulls our experience. And we do have the ability to sort of break through that or sort of gradually shift through that into a more direct experience, a more direct sensate experience. So that's what we're doing here, making a gentle effort to do that, to actually feel actual tactile physical sensation, feeling the freshness, the aliveness of each sensation, each breath, each sensation making up each breath. So as we make this gentle effort to do that all across the surface of the skin, from head to toe, back, sides, and front, top and bottom of the body, we may begin to feel sort of enveloped in this sensate field, which is the boundary between our body, what we call body, and the space surrounding us. And we're generally conditioned to regard ourselves as a physical object surrounded by empty space. And then we relate with other physical objects, things, and other people and other species. And I have a glass of water here as another object. And it would appear that I've picked up a solid, separate object that's in this empty space between myself and the glass of water. Actually, though, there is no such thing as empty space. We know it's full of gases to begin with, our atmosphere, which allows us to breathe and receive oxygen. And it's also an electromagnetic field, a subtle form of what's known as plasma. We have the um, basic forms of matter. We have um, solids, what we think of as solids, which is just energy vibrating at a frequency that our brain interprets as being solid. We have liquids like the water in this glass. We have gases like the oxygen we're breathing. And then the fourth state of matter is called plasma. And one form of plasma is actually what's in neon tubes that lights up. And but so there's this subtle electromagnetic field which surrounds us and also permeates our body. And our body actually generates its own electromagnetic field at the cellular level, even at the level of the mitochondria inside the cells. We're generating what are called weak photons, light energy, and generating electromagnetic energy. And our own electromagnetic field extends out 6 feet from the body in all directions. And it's strongest right near the surface of the skin. So that's all to say that we can actually feel that. We can tune into that and we can develop the ability to feel that and feel surrounded by this field of actual tactile physical sensation on the surface of the skin, as well as this electromagnetic field. And I invite us to regard all that as benevolent because it is. It's just life force energy, the energy of life. And we can feel supported by that. So instead of imagining us sitting here in empty space, we kind of have to balance ourselves. We could actually imagine ourselves being more in a space that's more like a liquid almost or something. And we're kind of supported already. So that can actually help us sit with good posture. And we can feel enveloped or embraced within this space and sort of held or embraced in the same way an infant is held by their loving parent, ideally. And so there can be a quality of coming home and then relaxing further within this space, feeling held. Hmm. And then within that, we can begin exploring the internal landscape of sensate experience. Hmm. Feeling the aliveness of the body, the flow of energy from head to toe. Feeling the weightiness of the body, the weight and mass of the bones and muscles, the force of gravity sort of holding us down on the earth. Tuning into the breath as the air is just flowing in and out of the body of its own accord with this natural wave-like motion, just like waves lapping at the seashore. And we can experience the actual physical sensations involved with the contraction or relaxation of all the muscles that are involved in breathing. Hmm. So for relaxing into natural diaphragmatic or belly breathing, we have that large dome-shaped muscle that separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. And as that contracts, it pulls down the lungs, creating a vacuum which draws the air in. And as it relaxes, then it releases the air. So feeling the contraction and relaxation of the diaphragm muscle, perhaps some involvement of the abdominal muscles, the oblique muscles that are just below the lower rib, and then very much the intercostal muscles between the ribs, which allows the rib cage to open and close or expand and contract with each in-breath and out-breath, allowing the lungs to fill with air and then release the air. And again, the sensations arising at the surface of the skin at the nostrils and or parted lips as the air flows in and flows out. Mm. Perhaps even feeling the whole process of oxygenation as we breathe in and the air goes deep into the lungs and at the alveoli, the blood oxygen exchange happens and blood cells release the carbon dioxide, which we breathe out, and then the blood cells take in fresh oxygen and carry that to every cell in the body. So feeling that whole process flowing throughout the body, the whole energy flow from head to toe that's connected to the breath. And as we explore the body, just appreciating this flow of energy and aliveness from head to toe, which includes all the function of all of our major organs, and our heartbeat, and sensations that arise that we experience as pleasant, neutral, unpleasant, just embracing the whole thing and feeling the aliveness and the flow of energy from head to toe, inside and out. And just resting in that field of energetic flow, sensation, aliveness. And again, simply allowing ourselves just to be within that flow of energy and coming back to being, being and feeling, feeling and being and feeling, feeling and being. Appreciating the aliveness, the flow of energy, realizing that our experience always includes comfort, discomfort, pleasure, pain, and being willing just to embrace the whole thing, feeling our natural attraction towards pleasantness, our natural aversion towards unpleasantness, and trying to relax that a bit and just embrace the full spectrum of our experience so that we can really be present, conscious, alive, and tuning into the natural flow of our body and being. And the more we relax into that, all the internal energy systems of the body begin to map on and cohere with each other. So we begin to experience this natural kind of flow state, coherence, which is very nurturing and healing, relaxing, feeling and being and feeling and being and feeling. And as I bring our session to a close with a gong here, I invite us to gently open our eyes and just, enter into our day with this quality of feeling and being and feeling. So thank you very much for joining us this morning. Or if you're watching this on the recording, thank you for tuning in. And thank you very much for being part of our nervous system reboot event here this January. And great way to start the year to really learn all these different skills that we can use from all these incredible presenters, incredible neuroscientists and physicians and clinicians, psychologists and meditation teachers, energy work experts, and so on. So we can really learn to self-regulate and optimize our nervous system for flow and living, and great way to set ourselves up for thriving this year. And of course, there will always be things that'll get us, a little off center and maybe into a state of dysregulation. But with these skills, we can learn to very quickly bring ourselves back to a state of harmonious regulation. And our ability to regulate our own nervous system is directly connected to our ability to co-regulate with others and optimize our relationships and our relationship with the natural world and so forth. And this is really just foundational to thriving in life, is learning to master and regulate our own nervous system. And we have an amazing group of experts to learn that from. And we have today, day 4, and then 2 more days, day 5 and 6. So please enjoy, and thank you for being here this morning. Be well.